product universe here. A reporter asked the wrong question to Stephen Miller. What happens next is unbelievable.
And one on Abrego Garcia, please. The administration is reportedly inquiring about his return. Is that to check a box for compliance, or does President Trump want him back on U.S. soil, or both?
So, as Secretary Rubio said yesterday in the cabinet meeting, this administration is not going to publicly discuss the inside details of our foreign policy and negotiations with a foreign country. And in particular, we are not going to allow a district court judge to try to become the Secretary of State. Secretary Rubio is the one who, under his leadership and direction at the State Department, is managing the day-to-day relationship with El Salvador. Let's just take a moment, number one, to express our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take some of the most dangerous terrorists off of America's streets and to put them into a safe environment where they cannot continue to engage in acts of terrorism or coordination with the Maduro regime. You may have seen recently an FBI assessment that was unclassified that said that the Maduro regime is using and planning to use trained Aragua terrorists to carry out assassination plots on American soil. Now, very few in this room covered that. I'll let you all ask yourselves why you didn't cover it and why your editors didn't assign that story to you. Something I think you should think about on your own. But this is a earth-shattering piece of news. The Biden administration imported a terrorist army that our own FBI assesses is planning assassination strikes on American soil against critics of the Maduro regime. Those are the terrorists that President Trump is finding and apprehending that our Democrat judges and Democrat activists are trying to keep on U.S. soil. Tren de Aragua has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. MS-13 has the same legal status as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. These are foreign terrorists operating on our soil. And our gratitude to El Salvador for agreeing to take custody of these terrorists is immense. With respect to the case that you mentioned, there's now even been more evidence that has been made public of this person's violent, repeated threats and assaults against his spouse. Someone who had repeated, documented human trafficking and human smuggling offenses. Somebody that has extensively documented membership in MS-13, a terrorist organization, and of course he had MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. This is a person that was a clear and present danger to the safety of the American people. And it is a sad reflection on the state of our media and many of the outlets represented in this room that you obsessively try to shill for this MS-13 terrorist. Well, no coverage occurred in your papers about any of the Americans that were raped and tortured and murdered by the illegals that Biden was importing into our country. You know, you talk about due process. The Biden administration made the decision to give extensive due process to two Tren de Aragua terrorists that were apprehended at the border just a couple years ago. They were two gentlemen. They were from Venezuela. They were members of Tren de Aragua. The Biden administration Border Patrol apprehended them and made the decision to provide them with extensive due process, put them onto a program known as supervised release, and put them on ankle monitors so that they could go through a lengthy legal, judicial determination as to whether these legal aliens who had just set foot on U.S. soil might want to live in the United States for the rest of their lives. What was the result of that decision? What was the result of that choice that was made? Those two men kidnapped a young girl named Jocelyn Ungary from her family. They beat her, they sexually assaulted her, they tortured her, they stripped her, they murdered her, and they dumped her body. That is what the Biden administration's policy was. Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
That was a totally unbelievable response from Stephen Miller answering that reporter's question. Answering the question from that reporter, where the reporter said that is the Trump administration wanting Abrego Garcia to return to the United States. Abrego Garcia, who is a man that is a criminal illegal alien. A criminal illegal alien who has been heavily talked about in the media recently about whether he belongs in America. He was recently deported from America to El Salvador because he was illegally in our country for many years, as he trespassed into our country from the southern border, as well as being part of a foreign terrorist organization known as MS-13, a group which is responsible for many heinous acts and atrocities. And yet the media is purporting that the Trump administration wrongfully deported this man, a man who is not even a citizen of our country, a man who has been known to hang around the MS-13 gang, a man who abuses his wife, and a person who is suspected of human trafficking. In spite of all these facts, the media is trying to argue that this man is the father of the year, that this citizen of El Salvador should be a citizen of America. But that is not simply the case, as he is not a United States citizen. He illegally immigrated into our country and has been living here for years, unbeknownst to our government. So Stephen Miller was right to say what he said about how this man is an example of the media fighting against the benefit of our country, as why would any sane country want criminal illegal aliens that are committing crimes running around our country unvetted and unchecked? Why would we want people who are part of foreign terrorist organizations on our streets, people that aren't even United States citizens, no less? The common sense answer is that no one would want these things, but in reality, the media in today's world does want these people here and is trying to do their best to convince the American citizens that this man should be returned back to our country just because they said so, and because the media and the liberals want the opposite of what Trump does. Since President Trump wants to deport criminal illegal aliens, liberals and the media now support criminal illegal aliens. It is a total clown world we live in, but common sense is thankfully coming back. Common sense, just as Stephen Miller just laid out, where he eviscerated the media and liberals for supporting these criminal illegal aliens, as they may say they support Abrego Garcia, but in reality, they would not want to be neighbors with him and other MS-13 gang members, because they are responsible for the worst of the worst crimes that have ever been committed in our country. Crimes that Stephen Miller laid out in detail. President Trump did a great job sending Abrego Garcia back to his home country where he is a citizen, and he's doing a great job sending hundreds of thousands of others just like him back to their home countries. Because America is a nation of laws, and these people broke our laws, plain and simple, when they illegally entered our country and committed even more crimes. For the safety and security of the American citizens, these criminal illegal aliens must be sent back to where they came from. President Trump is doing a great job at this and must keep up the good work. It was awesome to see Stephen Miller totally blast the media straight to their faces, where you could tell the media members were shaking in their boots because they knew Stephen Miller was totally right, that they shouldn't be standing up for and supporting criminal illegal alien gang members. This deserves to be shared because it shows that President Trump's administration is standing up for the safety and security of the American citizens by ridding the country of criminal illegal aliens like Abrego Garcia. Stephen Miller is such a brilliant destroyer of the media narrative. But that's just my 2 cents, and you're entitled to your 2 cents. If you want, share your opinion in the comments below, as all viewpoints are welcome. If you enjoyed this informational and educational video, then give the video a like and turn on my channel notifications so that you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. Thanks for watching. God bless you, and God bless America.